Three little girls went to Girl Scout camp in the summer of 1977 and were killed less than 24 hours later. Lori Farmer was only 8 years old. She was the youngest of the girls. She knew that summer she wanted to go to summer camp, but she couldn't choose between going to the YMCA camp or the Girl Scout camp. It was actually her mother who urged her to go to the Girl Scout camp. Michelle Guse was 9 years old. She had gone to the same Girl Scout camp the previous summer and was really excited about going to camp again this year. Doris Milner, who went by Denise, was 10 years old. This would be her first time ever going to summer camp, and she was super anxious about it. She actually told her mother right before camp that she did not want to go anymore. But her mother convinced her that she should go. What's super eerie is that the day Denise left for camp, her 5-year-old sister randomly asked their mom about death and what happens to people when they die. Her mom tried to explain it to her 5-year-old daughter. Then the little girl said, "Mama, tomorrow everybody is going to die." And the very next night, Lori, Michelle, and her sister Denise were all killed. On June 12, 1977, over 130 girls and their camp counselors arrived at summer camp. They were all nervous and excited. All the girls were separated into 10 units or campsites, and each had about 8 tents that the girls would share. Each unit looked something like this: 7 tents for the girls and 1 tent for the counselors. Tent 7 was the one Lori, Michelle, and Denise were sharing. As you can see, it was the farthest tent from the counselors' area. There was a building that completely obstructed the counselors' view of Tent 7. This is so dangerous, upsetting, and frustrating. If you take over 100 little girls into the woods, you should be able to see them at all times, or at least see their tents. The tents should have absolutely been closer to the counselors. I know you could argue that hindsight is 20/20, and they didn't know something awful was going to happen. But what if I told you the camp was actually warned that 3 little girls would be killed at this camp? Before the camp started, the counselors were brought in for some on-site training, and weird things started happening. Food started going missing, and no one admitted to taking it. Their belongings looked like someone had gone through them. Some items were missing completely. Then they found something straight out of a horror movie. 3 notebook pages covered with the word "kill" written over and over again. Another page said, "We are on a mission to kill 3 girls in Tent 1." I mean, what the hell, right? The camp dismissed it as a prank, and none of the parents sending their little girls to camp were informed. On the first night of camp, there was a terrible thunderstorm. Lori, Michelle, and Denise were all sharing Tent 7. There was also supposed to be a 4th girl in their tent, but she was moved to another tent at the last minute, a decision that ended up saving her life. Between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., campers and counselors began hearing and seeing strange things. They heard moaning and groaning noises, bizarre sounds that seemed both human and animal. One 15-year-old counselor heard the noise and shined her flashlight outside but went back to bed when it stopped. Some campers saw 3 lights in the woods, like flashlights. Others were woken by lights shining into their tents. Around 3 a.m., some campers heard screaming and someone calling out for their mama. Then, the sounds stopped. In the morning, a counselor walking to the showers noticed a sleeping bag outside near the bushes. When she got closer, she saw the body of 10-year-old Denise stuffed inside. She ran to alert the others. The camp quickly moved all the girls to another area and distracted them with games while they did a head count. Soon, police were brought in. That's when they found the bodies of 8-year-old Lori and 9-year-old Michelle in the woods, about 150 yards from their tent. They were also in their sleeping bags. All 3 girls were gone. They weren't wearing anything. They had been beaten and assaulted. I won't go into more detail about their injuries, but it was absolutely horrific. Near Lori and Michelle's bodies, police found duct tape, a flashlight, nylon rope, and a pair of eyeglasses stolen from another tent. Tent 7 was covered in blood, and a man-sized 9.5 shoe print was found inside. The camp called all 130 families and told them something terrible had happened and to come pick up their kids, but didn't tell them if their child was okay. Just imagine the anxiety. Lori, Michelle, and Denise's families stood there, watching other little girls run into their parents' arms, realizing they wouldn't be leaving with their child. 10 days into the investigation, police announced a prime suspect, Jean Leroy Hart. He had grown up only a mile from the camp and was familiar with the area. He was supposed to be serving a 300-plus-year sentence, but had escaped prison 4 years earlier. Jean had been in prison for kidnapping and assaulting 2 pregnant women. He used the same duct tape and nylon rope in that crime as what was found with Lori and Michelle's bodies. The women said Jean made bizarre moaning and groaning noises during the assault, just like the campers heard that night. He had also taken eyeglasses from them and insisted on trying them on, just like the stolen glasses found near the scene. Police dogs led authorities to a cave a few miles from camp and only 100 feet from where Jean grew up. Someone had clearly been living there. They found items stolen from the camp, along with 2 photos of women that Jean had stolen from another prisoner. 10 months later, Jean was found after a massive manhunt and arrested. He was wearing women's glasses and had multiple stolen camp items. At trial, shockingly, Jean had many supporters who believed he was innocent. DNA was found in the victims' bodies. Though DNA testing in the late 70s was primitive, it showed the DNA belonged to a non-white male with type O blood. Jean was a Native American man with type O blood. This match applied to only 0.02% of the population. Still, the jury wasn't convinced. Jean wore a size 11 shoe, while the print in the tent was size 9.5. A fingerprint found on the flashlight also did not belong to Jean. After just 5 minutes of deliberation, the jury found him not guilty. The families were devastated. Jean's supporters cheered in court. Can you imagine cheering during a trial about 3 murdered little girls? Jean went back to prison to finish his original sentence. But just 2 months later, he died of a heart attack at age 35. His funeral was attended by over 1,300 people, the largest in that county's history. Investigators firmly believed Jean was responsible and didn't investigate further. The case stayed that way for over 40 years, until 2022, when new DNA testing confirmed that the DNA 100% belonged to Jean. Since he was already dead, there wasn't much to be done. But hopefully, this gave the girls' families some peace. I always believed, even before 2022, that Jean was guilty. But I've also always believed he didn't act alone. It's hard to believe he could control 3 girls alone. And remember, multiple witnesses saw 3 flashlights in the woods. His footprint and fingerprint were also not found at the scene. I believe at least 2 other people got away with this. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments. While you're there, tell me what case you want me to cover next. I love you all so much, and I'll see you tomorrow.